So, welcome to video 5 using Python to do evcult. In this video, we'll teach getting some literary data for analysis from kaggle.com, then saving and running an evcult analysis Python script that's provided here, then running that evcult analysis in Python inside idle, and finally preparing to enter that resulting data that we get back into ChatGPT-4. And as we know, evcult is a meta science, so it applies to everything. And evcult even turns the arts and humanities into a science because we now have the units, scale levels, mechanisms, and 3 laws of everything, not just culture, but we can analyze units in the arts, music, films, television, video games, novels, etc. Because all domains in culture are structured and function as fractal Holon partons. So we'll be having a look at some written fiction there, which is also a narrative, which is, in this case, we'll do a quick study of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, the novel. And we could ask the question, why is a book structured like this? Why is there one whole book, and within that, chapters, within a chapter, paragraphs, within a paragraph, sentences, within sentences, words, within words, characters or glyphs or letters and punctuation. Within those, there's geometry, such as lines and curves as units, and within that, points. Well, because a book is structured as a fractal Holon parton and functions as a fractal Holon parton via the 3 laws. And here's the actual numbers of the scale levels or the units of the fractal Holon parton in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. There's one book, 47 chapters, 804 paragraphs, 3,349 sentences. There's the words, there's the characters, etc. So everything is structured and functions as a fractal Holon parton. Even Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, the old classic. So just as 3 examples of scale levels, units and their scale levels in the domain of written language, letter, word, and sentence are all fractal Holon partons. So there's a letter, the letter L, there's a word, that's another unit on a larger scale level, the word letter, and there's a whole sentence. So there's 3 scale levels of the fractal Holon parton, letter, word, and sentence. And they're all units of culture, and they're all structured and function as fractal Holon partons. And this is just an example in the domain of written language, but it applies to all domains. And not just culture, but everything in nature, everything in biology, everything in culture. They're all structured and functioning as fractal Holon partons. Wonderful. And here's a more detailed breakdown of the units and scale levels of novels, such as Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, in the cultural domain of fiction books. And so we can see there in that list or ranking, each level on each scale or each size is a unit. So down the bottom, a letter or a symbol or a glyph or a punctuation mark or even a space in a line of text is a fractal Holon parton, and each one of those units adheres to the 3 laws of fractal Holon partons, or 3 laws of culture or information, because the universe is made of information, energy, and matter. and information goes through everything. So you'll notice each of those units on each of those scale levels integrates upwards as we move up. It also competes and cooperates sideways with units on the same scale level, and it controls and commands downwards the units that are inside of it. So we'll just quickly run up the list. Letters, symbols, glyphs is the smallest unit on this particular list. Moving up, they integrate upwards into a larger unit on the scale level above, which is a morpheme, which is a part of a word. It's a whole but a part at the same time, so it's a whole on part on. Then they integrate upwards into larger units, which we call a word, and that's a unit of culture. Words integrate upwards into phrases, and that's a unit. A phrase is a unit of culture. They integrate upwards into clauses. They integrate upwards into the next level called sentences. They integrate up to paragraphs, up to chapters, then a part in a book. Say a novel might have 3 parts to it, and then they integrate upwards into the whole novel or one book, and that can integrate upwards into a novel series. You might have a trilogy or a series of Harry Potter novels, say, that integrates upwards into a larger unit on the scale level above, a subgenre in literature, in novels, and then you might integrate up into one specific genre, whether it's the romance genre, the thriller genre, or the detective novel genre, or horror, or science fiction, etc. Then they integrate all genres in novels, integrate upwards into a larger unit on the scale level above, which is the unit of all genres. That integrates upwards into libraries or retail outlets, all libraries as one unit, and then the whole domain of all novels as one unit, and above that, the domain of all human culture. So, excuse you. You could also look at how each unit competes and cooperates with units sideways on the same scale level there, and we could go back down the list and see how they control and command each of those units inside them. But that might do for now. You can have a look at the EvCult textbooks if you want to go into more detail on that. But it should also be obvious that books compete with other books. So novels, you might have to pick between reading 2 novels, and you can't usually read 2 at once. Or you could read a page each. But anyway, there we have a EvCult diagram of the units and scale levels of novels in the domain of fiction books. Next. Oh, and that's where that diagram source, you can see more of these EvCult diagrams on that blog page there, on the EvCult blog. This is just one domain, novels. There's all sorts of domains there: music, movies, video games, economics, politics, etc. Next. And here's an example from one of the EvCult textbooks, Elements of EvCult. That's a fractal whole-on part-on diagram there, showing their units and scale levels and how they adhere to the 3 laws in their structure. Next. Oh, and that's the source, Elements of EvCult 2023. So let's jump into it. Using Python and ChatGPT to do EvCult, we'll just do the Python section in this video. First of all, go to Kaggle and we'll get some data. So the website looks something like that. AI and ML and data science. We're looking for this, so type in classic literature in ASCII in the search bar on the Kaggle website. Search for that. And it should bring up this list. That's the one we want, by Miles O'Neill. Click on that. Classic literature in ASCII. There it is. And there's the full URL on kaggle.com. And we want to click download on that. It's 132 megabytes. Let's click that. That's the data set we want. And that should land on our desktop. There we go. It's called Archive. And we unzip that. Double click. Open up that zip file. There we go. We've got 4 folders inside: authors, fiction, non-fiction, and reference. Let's look in authors down here. So there's works organized by authors: Aristotle, Kant, Shakespeare, etc. Then they're organized into fiction in this folder. There's a list of fiction texts: Jane Austen, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, Mary Shelley. Non-fiction, so other works, classic works, as text files. There's Monadology by Leibniz. Monads are similar to fractal Holon partons, but he didn't get it quite right. And the last one is reference. So in there we have dictionaries and thesauruses or thesauri and the Koran and all sorts in there. So there's 4 folders, and we just want to go into fiction and grab the Frankenstein.txt. So that's the novel. So we'll go and copy and paste that. Copy that into a folder on our computer. I've just put it into this folder up here called EvCult course Kaggle texts. But you'll need to remember that path, that file path. We'll need it later. Let's open up the text file. There it is, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. That looks like her novel, full of chapters, paragraphs, sentences, and words and characters. Yep, the end. Fantastic. Wonderful novel. Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Good, that's what we want. We're going to analyze this text for its units and scale levels, or do an EvCult analysis of the units and scale levels. So the numbers of chapters, paragraphs, sentences, words, characters. So we've got that text file. Now I also want you to save the attached text file, this fractal Holon parton counter text file, which we'll save as a python.py file. So save that. Open the text file. That's how it's going to look. And down here you'll have to change the file path to make sure it's looking at the right file, Frankenstein.txt, that text file on your computer. So put in the right file path there. And we'll save that as a .py file. So that Python script, yep. Then we open it in idle. And we're going to point it at that. Open that up in idle. There we go. Let's just straighten that up. Yep, there it is. And in idle, we're going to run that module, and bang, there it is, it's done. It's counted the number of chapters, 47, paragraphs, 800. So copy and paste that little result there. So we just want that text there. Copy, and we'll be putting that into ChatGPT-4 in the next lesson, and wonderful things will happen. So yes, in the next lesson we'll enter that resulting data into ChatGPT, and marvelous things will happen thanks to EvCult. And so that's how we use Python in this stage of the process to do EvCult analysis. So that's it, and a quick lesson recap using Python to do EvCult. This lesson we went over to Kaggle.com. We found a literature data set, the one that's called Classic Literature in ASCII by Miles O'Neill. Downloaded that. We unzipped it, the zip file. We copied out of there one of the ASCII text files. In this case it was Mary Shelley's Frankenstein as a .txt or ASCII text file. Then we also downloaded the text file of the attached Python script here, which does the actual counting of the units and scale levels. Then we saved that script as a .py file, not as a .txt file, so it can work in Python. Then we fixed the file path in that Python file to make sure it's pointing at the Frankenstein.txt file for analysis when we run that module. Then we ran that Python script or that module in idle, and we copied the output data, which was the number of chapters, paragraphs, sentences, words and characters, and we're getting ready now in the next lesson to insert that into ChatGPT-4, and some wonderful EvCult results should result. So just a reminder, we copy pasted this text data, which was the output of the Python script that we ran. It's just the number of chapters, 47, 804 paragraphs, 3,349 sentences in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, 75,000 words and 426,000 characters. So those are the units and scale levels of the fractal Holon parton that is Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, and we'll do something interesting with that in ChatGPT next lesson. So a recap, key principles of EvCult. There it is, EvCult in 6 sentences or 6 units of culture. And you can freeze or pause the video here and go through that, but if you've done the previous lessons of this course, you should understand all of that. And you can also read the EvCult blog, that has a lot more, and the EvCult textbooks go into even further meta scientific detail. And that results in the EvCult worldview. You are a system of systems inside more systems, and as we know, systems are structured and function as fractal Holon partons, and so do units of culture. Anyway, you are here. You're a person or an organism, probably, unless you're an AI watching this. Next, that's the EvCult worldview, or Weltanschauung, if you like. So in a nutshell, what is EvCult? It's a single standard universal one-size-fits-all scientific set of units, scale levels, evolutionary mechanisms and 3 laws that apply to all domains, because it's a meta science of everything, including the arts and humanities, including, for example, novels like Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, say. And it's also a solution to consilience, the unity of knowledge, because EvCult provides that vertical integration of all the disciplines, because we have the same universal set of units for everything. They're all fractal Holon partons if you look closely and scientifically, and they all obey the 3 laws. So units, levels, mechanisms and laws. That's EvCult. So the final summary, we taught getting some literary data for an EvCult analysis from Kaggle. And then we saved and ran an EvCult Python script. Then we ran that analysis in Python, and we're getting ready to enter that resulting data into ChatGPT-4. So I hope you join me for the next lesson using ChatGPT to do EvCult analysis using that interesting data. So we'll paste that in and see what ChatGPT-4 has to say about it. Hopefully I'll see you then. Thanks a lot. Bye for now.